Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the Nepali Diaspora Network podcast, your source for news, views, and insights for Nepals all around the world.
Great to be here.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into what's been happening in Nepal. It's quite a mix.
It really is.
We've got everything from major policy shifts, like Nepal's new AI strategy and a big push for digital infrastructure, to, well, some critical social issues.
Yeah, things like water safety, which is fundamental, and ongoing concerns about unemployment.
Exactly. And then there's the complex international scene, border disputes popping up again, diplomatic visits. It's a lot.
High-stakes stuff.
So our goal here is to give you a shortcut, really. Cut through the noise and highlight the key developments and, hopefully, some surprising facts you might have missed.
And what's fascinating, I think, is seeing how Nepal is sort of juggling all this.
Yeah.
Embracing new tech, tackling these really persistent domestic challenges.
While managing tricky diplomacy.
Precisely. And as we connect the dots, you'll start to see, hopefully, those aha moments, how these different threads actually weave together into a bigger picture.
Absolutely. That interconnectedness is key. So let's jump right in. First up, Nepal navigating the digital frontier. And the big news here is this ambitious national artificial intelligence policy.
That's right. The government just gave it the green light. It's officially the National Artificial Intelligence Policy 2082 BS, that's 2025, in the Gregorian calendar.
And it's more than just rules, right? It's about creating a whole environment.
Exactly. It's designed to foster AI development, its expansion across different sectors, but also crucially ensure it's used safely and ethically.
That ethical piece seems vital with AI. So what are the key structures they're putting in place?
Well, they're setting up some important bodies. There's going to be an AI Regulation Council and also a National AI Center. Both will operate under the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. Yeah. The focus is really broad, developing human resources, so skills, fostering innovation, research, but also, as you said, safeguarding citizens' rights and privacy. That's a big emphasis.
Makes sense. And how are they planning to actually implement this? Is it all government-led?
No, they're pushing for public-private partnerships, recognizing, that the government can't do it all alone. And interestingly, they've built in a review mechanism. Yeah, they plan to review the policy every 2 years because AI changes so incredibly fast, which is smart.
That is smart. And they're even looking outwards, something about exporting AI services.
Yes, that's perhaps the most surprising ambition here. Supporting Nepal's IT industry, not just to use AI, but to provide AI services internationally. It also includes risk management for things like deepfakes.
Wow. So what's the biggest hurdle you see?
Well, turning ambition into reality. The practical stuff. Ensuring widespread broadband access is one huge piece. Without that, AI potential is limited. And also sending clear investment signals to get the private sector really on board.
Right. That broadband point is critical. And that actually leads us perfectly into the next piece of news, expanding optical fiber connectivity.
Exactly. An AI policy needs the pipes, so to speak. So the Nepal Telecommunications Authority, NTA, and Nepal Telecommunications Company, NTC, have signed a pretty big deal.
How big are we talking?
It's a 3-year agreement worth about 2 billion rupees.
Okay.
And this money, coming from the Rural Telecommunications Development Fund, will be used to lay around 1,900 kilometers of optical fiber cable.
Wow, 1,900 kilometers. Where is this happening?
It's targeting 23 districts and 194 local levels, specifically within Gandaki and Lumbini provinces.
So this really feeds into that whole digital Nepal framework idea.
Absolutely. It's fundamental to it. The main goal is bridging that persistent gap between urban and rural connectivity.
And for people listening, what does that mean practically? How does it change daily life?
It means unlocking proper broadband access for places that have struggled to get it, and think schools, health posts. It also empowers small businesses.
Right.
Giving them the digital tools they need. So for you, it translates to potentially better access to education, healthcare, more economic opportunities locally. It could really foster entrepreneurship through digital services that just weren't possible before.
That's genuinely transformative potential.
Yeah.
Okay, and staying digital, but shifting focus slightly, something exciting for anyone missing the sights of Nepal. Google Street View.
Yes. It's finally rolled out nationwide, so now you can virtually explore almost anywhere.
Everywhere, like Kathmandu alleys, Terai Plains, up in the Himalayas.
Pretty much. It's immersive 360-degree panoramas on Google Maps.
Oh.
It goes way beyond the previous limited coverage that just focused on major landmarks. This is comprehensive.
That's amazing. I mean, just thinking about virtually wandering through, say, Patanderbar Square, or seeing the mountains,
Yeah,
especially for Nepalese living abroad.
exactly. It's a fantastic tool for you whether you're planning a future trip back home or you're part of the diaspora wanting to reconnect visually.
How else might it be used? Tourism, storytelling.
All of the above. It boosts storytelling, definitely. Makes trip planning much more intuitive. You can see the place before you go. And it really enriches those local tourism narratives. It lets people experience a slice of Nepal, even from thousands of miles away.
Okay, so we've covered access and exploration. Now let's move into digital governance. There's been a major Supreme Court ruling on social media.
Indeed, this is quite significant. The Supreme Court has ruled that all social media and online platforms, doesn't matter if they're based in Nepal or overseas, must register with a competent authority to operate in the country.
Mandatorily register, so no exceptions.
That's the ruling. And it comes after, some challenges. Platforms like Meta's Facebook had apparently resisted earlier directives on this.
Right, so what's the court's rationale here? What are they trying to achieve?
The stated aim is accountability, to hold digital media responsible, discourage fake identities online, and allow for monitoring of undesirable content.
Undesirable content. That sounds like it could be controversial.
It is. The court specifically mentioned the state's responsibility to control misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. They've directed the government to set up legal arrangements for oversight.
So for our listeners, what are the implications? How does this impact free speech or online debate?
Well, that's the core tension, isn't it? It raises really important questions about finding the right balance. How do you control harmful misinformation without stifling legitimate press freedom and open civic discussion? It directly impacts how you consume news and participate online. It's a tightrope walk.
A tightrope many countries are walking right now. Okay, let's shift from the digital world to something very physical and fundamental: public health. There's worrying news about water safety in Kathmandu Valley.
Yes, unfortunately, recent tests conducted by the Public Health Office and the National Public Health Laboratory have found hazardous levels of fecal coliform in a significant number of tap water samples.
Fecal coliform. That means contamination from sewage, right?
Essentially, yes, contamination with human or animal waste. And it's not just tap water. Some bottled jar water samples were also found to be contaminated.
That's incredibly serious. What are the health risks?
Very serious. We're talking risks of diseases like dysentery, typhoid, cholera, really nasty stuff.
What are authorities doing?
Mm.
And what should people be doing?
Officials are strongly urging everyone in the valley to boil water before drinking it. That's the main advice. Authorities have also apparently sealed some water suppliers whose sources were found contaminated.
Is this a seasonal problem?
It does tend to get worse during the monsoon season, yeah, but the underlying issues are long-term.
So for people listening, this is obviously a direct health threat.
Absolutely. It disrupts daily life, affects school attendance if kids get sick, and understandably, it erodes public trust in basic services. It just underscores the desperate need for better infrastructure, improved sewage control, fixing leaky old pipes. And it also means communities need to be vigilant.
Vigilant, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, staying with public health initiatives in Kathmandu, the KMC, Kathmandu Metropolitan City, has started enforcing a smoking fine.
That's right. They've begun imposing a fine of 500 rupees on anyone caught smoking in public spaces.
When did this start?
Enforcement kicked off on August 17th. It's based on the Tobacco Products Act from 2011, so the law isn't new, but the enforcement push is. Municipal police are out, raising awareness too.
So this is a noticeable change in public spaces in Kathmandu.
Definitely. A public health measure aimed at making those spaces healthier for everyone.
Right. Now, shifting to education. There seems to be some significant conflict brewing over the new school education bill, particularly involving private schools.
Yes, there's quite a bit of tension. The two main private school organizations, PABSON and NPABSON, have announced protests against certain parts of the bill.
What are their main objections?
They have 5 key demands. They want the term full scholarship removed. They object to provisions making schools provide non-educational items. They want to scrap the requirement for schools registered under the Company Act to operate as nonprofit.
Okay, that sounds like a big one, the nonprofit status.
It is. And crucially, they also want to retain the right to distribute scholarships themselves rather than having it centralized, perhaps.
And what happens if their demands aren't met?
They've threatened to close schools starting August 25th, so it's serious.
Wow. So this dispute, it touches on big issues, doesn't it? access, affordability, how schools are governed.
Exactly. It signals real tensions over those core issues, and it could potentially reshape things like parental expectations and even the culture within classrooms across Nepal. It's definitely one to watch.
Okay, let's move on to the economy. The Nepal Electricity Authority, NEA, has seen a pretty sharp drop in profits. What happened there?
That's right, a significant dip. Their profit before tax for the last fiscal year, 2024-25, dropped by over 37%, down to about 9.06 billion rupees.
Ouch. What's driving that decline? Is demand down?
Actually, no. Domestic electricity consumption grew by almost 11%, and revenue from electricity sales was also up by over 8%.
So, if sales and consumption are up, why the profit drop?
Several factors. A big one is lower rates for electricity exported, mainly to India. Administrative costs have also risen. And a major hit came from foreign exchange losses.
Ah, currency fluctuation.
Exactly. The appreciation of the Japanese yen alone cost them around 2.5 billion rupees in losses on loans.
That's substantial. So, despite the profit drop, are they still pushing forward with expansion plans?
Yes, they are. They're still pursuing ambitious goals, new interconnectors with India and China, developing pump storage projects, rolling out smart meters. And installed hydropower capacity did increase, reaching nearly 3,600 megawatts last year.
So, what does this financial squeeze mean for Nepal's bigger energy ambitions, like becoming a major power exporter?
Well, it certainly complicates things. It highlights the need for perhaps tighter cost control, better strategies for hedging against currency risks, and maybe clearer frameworks to encourage more private investment in the energy sector. Relying solely on NEA profits might be tricky.
Right. It shows the complexity beyond just generating power. Okay, speaking of major projects facing challenges, the Baharahala Airport, what's the situation there? It seems stalled.
It's a really frustrating situation, especially for locals. Gautam Buddha International Airport in Harahawa, it was inaugurated back in May 2022, but it's still largely empty. No scheduled international passenger flights.
Why not? It's a brand new international airport, isn't it?
It is. The problem goes back to the financing. It was built with a loan from the Asian Development Bank, and a key condition was that it would be privately operated. That condition wasn't met.
Ah, so it's stuck in limbo.
Pretty much. And it's causing a local economic crisis. Businesses, hotels that invested heavily expecting airport traffic are now facing collapse. There's mounting debt associated with the airport itself.
That's devastating for the Lumbini region's economy and tourism potential.
Absolutely. Local stakeholders are now demanding that private operators be brought in to manage the airport. It also lacks basic support services like labor offices, visa centers, things airlines look for.
Is there any movement on getting flight routes?
It's actually on Prime Minister Ali's agenda for his upcoming visit to India, trying to secure those crucial international flight route permissions. But the whole situation really highlights the difficulties in Nepal of not just building big infrastructure, but actually making it operational and successful.
A real challenge.
Right.
Okay, let's stick with tourism, but shift focus to Chitwan. There's a change happening with elephant safaris in Saraha.
Yes, a significant shift. The traditional elephant-backed safaris are declining in the Saraha region of Chitwan National Park.
Why the decline?
Mainly two reasons: growing international criticism regarding animal welfare concerns, and also the sheer high cost of maintaining the elephants. The number of elephants used for rides has apparently halved.
So what are tourism operators doing instead? Are they finding alternatives?
They are adapting. They're introducing new activities like elephant bushwalks. This is where tourists walk alongside the elephants in their natural environment rather than riding them.
Interesting. How does that compare?
These new packages are generally more expensive, but they're positioned as being more ethical and welfare-friendly.
So this shows how global trends and ethical concerns can directly impact local tourism practices.
Exactly. It forces adaptation to keep tourism viable while promoting better animal welfare. It's changing the very identity of Saraha tourism, which was so strongly linked to elephant rides.
Fascinating adaptation. Now, this all feeds into a larger, more persistent issue for Nepal: unemployment. Can you unpack the challenges there?
It's a severe and ongoing problem, unfortunately, with several contributing factors.
What are some of the key ones?
Well, one factor often cited is the relatively unhindered flow of workers from India who don't currently require work permits. This is seen as impacting job opportunities for Nepalese citizens.
Okay, what else beyond cross-border labor?
Other major issues include sluggish overall economic growth, an underdeveloped manufacturing or productive sector, and what's often called a skills gap.
Skills gap, meaning graduates don't have the skills employers need.
Precisely. Many university graduates reportedly lack the practical technical skills that the current labor market demands. And you have a huge number of young people entering the job market every year, around 500,000.
Wow, 500,000. Where do they end up?
A large number end up migrating for work, often to Gulf countries or Malaysia. And it's also important to note that unemployment rates aren't uniform. They tend to be higher among certain social groups.
So the social and economic impact is huge. Hardship, poverty.
Absolutely. It's a major driver of poverty and social strain. It really highlights the need for systemic changes policies to encourage industries to spread out beyond Kathmandu, promote technologies that use more labor, and critically reform the education system to boost employability.
A massive challenge. Okay, let's pivot now to diplomacy and Nepal's place in the world, starting with, unfortunately, a renewed dispute over the Pulak.
Yes, this flared up again recently. India and China agreed to reopen border trade through the Lipulek Pass.
And the issue is that Nepal claims Lipulek as its own territory, right?
But unequivocally, Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a pretty strong statement reiterating that Lipulek, along with Limpiadara and Kalapani, are integral parts of Nepal. They base this on historical treaties and, importantly, the new political map Nepal issued in 2020, which includes these areas.
How did India respond?
India swiftly rejected Nepal's claims. They stated that trade through Lipulek has historical precedent and that it's purely a bilateral matter between India and China.
So Nepal feels sidelined.
That's definitely the concern often expressed in Kathmandu, that its interests and claims get overlooked when its two giant neighbors make agreements about sensitive Himalayan border areas. It's a core issue of national sovereignty and highlights Nepal's tricky geopolitical position.
It's a recurring theme. Amidst this, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has some important diplomatic trips coming up.
Yes, he does. First, he's heading to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO Summit in Tianjin, China. That's August 31st to September 1st. Then a visit to India starting September 16th, including a stop in Bodh Gaya.
What's the significance of the SCO meeting for Nepal?
Nepal is currently a dialogue partner in the SCO, but they've been pushing for observer status for a long time. That's expected to be a key agenda item for PM Oli. He's also likely to have meetings with both Chinese President Xi Jinping and Indian Prime Minister Modi there.
And the India visit. What are the key goals there?
Bilateral talks are planned, a joint press conference, and remember the Harahawa airport issue? Trying to secure flight route permits for both Piahawa and Pokhara airports is reportedly high on the agenda for the India talks.
So these are crucial trips for Nepal's regional standing and for getting some tangible results on things like the airports.
Absolutely. And all this is happening while the Prime Minister also navigates, internal party dynamics and public opinion back home, especially regarding these sensitive border issues.
Right. And speaking of India relations, the Indian Foreign Secretary was just in Kathmandu. What was the purpose of that visit?
Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri paid a 2-day official visit recently. It involved courtesy calls, including on PM Oli, meetings with other senior officials, and significantly, he formally delivered Prime Minister Modi's invitation to PM Oli for the upcoming India visit.
So, laying the groundwork for Oli's trip, was anything else discussed?
Yes, critically, there were also expert-level talks focused on the long-standing drinking water crisis in the Tarai region. This follows up on a previous MOU signed between Nepal and India's Jal Shakti Ministry.
So potential for cooperation on that vital issue.
Exactly. The visit signals close coordination ahead of the PM's trip and maybe opens the door for some concrete agreements on development cooperation, especially for critical needs like water in the drought-prone Tarai.
Okay. Now, shifting focus again, but staying with Nepalese abroad, there's been some absolutely tragic news out of Kuwait.
Yes, it's truly heartbreaking. At least 16 Nepalese nationals have died in Kuwait after consuming toxic methanol-laced alcohol.
16. That's terrible. Were others affected?
Yes, it's part of a larger incident involving migrant workers, with 23 deaths reported overall. Additionally, over 30 other Nepalese are receiving medical treatment, and sadly, many are in critical condition.
How does this happen? Isn't alcohol restricted in Kuwait?
It is prohibited. But reports suggest illicit groups produce and sell these dangerous, toxic beverages illegally.
What's being done for the victims and their families?
The Nepali embassy in Kuwait is actively involved coordinating medical care, working to confirm identities, assisting the families back home, and warning other Nepalese nationals there to be extremely vigilant about such substances.
This just highlights the risks faced by migrant workers.
It absolutely does. It's a devastating reminder of the vulnerabilities and underscores the urgent need for stronger protections for Nepalese workers abroad and continuous diplomatic support from Kathmandu.
It's such a tragedy. On a different note concerning Nepalese abroad, are there any updates on the efforts to secure the release of Bipin Joshi, who was taken hostage?
Efforts are ongoing. His family has continued their advocacy, including visits and meetings in Israel. Diplomatically, Nepal is actively working through various channels, appealing to mediators. The focus seems to be on quiet, sustained negotiation and providing consular support to the family, all aimed at securing his safe return.
It remains a focus of public concern.
Very much so. It highlights the difficult situations Nepalese citizens can find themselves in during international conflicts and the ongoing efforts to protect them.
So bringing this all together, what does this all mean? We've covered a huge range today, from AI ambitions to water safety, economic hurdles, diplomatic rows. It paints a picture of Nepal as incredibly dynamic, but also facing some really deep challenges.
That's a good way to put it. It's a landscape of contrasts. You see this embrace of the future, the digital advancements, side by side with grappling with these very real fundamental economic and social issues, plus the constant navigation of complex international relations.
And all these threads, they connect back to the lives of Nepalese people,
Right.
Whether they're in Nepal or living abroad.
Absolutely. If you connect this to the bigger picture, it's clear these developments profoundly impact everyday life. An AI policy might seem abstract, but it shapes future jobs. A border dispute affects national sentiment and security. Water quality impacts health directly. These aren't just headlines. They shape the reality for Nepalese everywhere, especially for our listeners in the global diaspora.
It really does make you think about those connections. And on that note, perhaps a final thought for our listeners to consider, building on everything we've discussed today.
Yeah, if we connect all this to the bigger picture, it really raises an important question, I think. In this world of ever-increasing connectivity, instant information, how do we actually measure the true cost of progress and opportunity?
Not just in dollars and cents or GDP.
Exactly. Not just economic terms, but thinking about the precious human hours, the family connections, the personal sacrifices that shape our lives. There's this idea sometimes called the time tax. It's about those subtle but profound trade-offs that individuals and families make.
Trade-offs for dignity, for opportunity.
Right, both within Nepal and especially for those who move across borders seeking those opportunities.
Yeah.
What's the real cost in time, in relationships, in connection to home? Something worth reflecting on.
A powerful thought indeed. The time tax. Definitely something to mull over. We really encourage you to continue your own deep dives and stay curious about these vital developments affecting Nepal and the diaspora.
Absolutely.
For more detailed insights, you can always find the full newsletter, which this deep dive is based on, plus other updates and resources over at nepalidiaspora.net.
That's nepalidiaspora.net.
And just a quick mention, if you happen to be a Nepalese listener based in the UK, you might find belayat.uk a useful resource. That's belayat.uk. It's a classifieds platform for jobs, housing, community events, finding local Nepalese businesses, that sort of thing.
Handy resource, belayat.uk.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive from the Nepali Diaspora Network podcast.